Let's start with a real breath of fresh air. Billy Gardell. You probably remember him as the lovable guy from the hit sitcom Mike and Molly. Unlike so many folks in Hollywood today, Billy is doing things the right way, with complete, absolute honesty. Over the last few years, Billy dropped an incredible 170 pounds. But instead of attributing this massive transformation to a miracle diet or trying to sell us a phony workout program, he told the plain truth. Billy was battling severe type 2 diabetes and knew he had to make a drastic change if he wanted to be around to see his son grow up. He sat down with his doctors and tackled his health head-on. He has been refreshingly upfront about his journey, admitting he underwent bariatric surgery and was prescribed Ozempic for a year specifically to manage his diabetes. "I knew I was going to have to change my entire lifestyle to be able to manage this disease," he shared. He didn't use the medication as a quick-fix vanity tool. He used it alongside real, hard lifestyle changes. No vague, "I just found my happy place" nonsense, just a man fighting for his life and health. At a time when we are constantly sold impossible standards, Billy's transparency is deeply respected. We appreciate a straight shooter who admits that real transformations require medical help, not just willpower. He is our baseline for honesty. But unfortunately, as we'll see with our next celebrity, that kind of straightforward truth is rare, replaced instead by a deeply concerning silence. Let's turn to a much more concerning situation, one that really highlights how much times have changed: Latoya Jackson. We all know the Jackson family has lived their entire lives under a microscope, but lately, Latoya's situation has folks genuinely worried. Late last year, she started sharing some unsettling updates. She posted short, cryptic videos from doctors' offices simply saying she was hoping for good results and asking for our prayers. Then, she would just disappear from the public eye for weeks. When she finally stepped back out for a concert appearance in Dubai, the public was shocked. She looked incredibly frail and dramatically thinner than the vibrant Latoya we all remember. Naturally, the immediate reaction from loyal fans was deep concern. Is she okay? Someone please check on her. But here is where it gets truly frustrating. Back in the day, if we saw someone looking that fragile, our first instinct was to pray for their healing. Today, because everyone is so obsessed with these new Hollywood weight loss injections, the public immediately jumps to cynical gossip. People simply assume it's another vanity project. However, sources close to the family hint that she has been fighting a quiet, private health battle for years. It breaks your heart. Here is a woman who might be facing a very real, frightening medical crisis, asking for grace, yet the internet treats it like a cosmetic trend. It shows how we've lost our ability to recognize when someone simply needs our compassion. Now, let's talk about a woman who is doing it with absolute class: the beautiful Vanessa Williams. At 62 years old, Vanessa recently sat down with Hello magazine and did something incredibly rare for a Hollywood icon. She told the complete, unvarnished truth about aging. If you're a woman of a certain age, you know exactly what she's talking about. Vanessa opened up about the frustrating reality of menopause, admitting, "Suddenly at 51, it's crazy how your body changes. You feel out of control because you're working out the same way, eating the same, and your body is not reacting the way it used to." Instead of pretending her refreshed appearance was just from drinking more water or trying to sell us a phony workout program, she confessed she got help. To manage this very real, very stubborn biological transition, she's been using a doctor-prescribed medication for the past 2 years, alongside hormone replacement therapy. And she isn't hiding a single thing. The response from fans? Overwhelming gratitude. When someone looks you straight in the eye and says, "I am managing a difficult stage of life with medical help," that commands respect. Raise your hand if you are tired of celebrities keeping their medicine cabinets a secret while selling us impossible standards. Vanessa is doing it right. She is simply saying, "Here is what I struggled with. Here is what helped me. Go talk to your doctor." That level of transparency should be the gold standard. But unfortunately, while Vanessa chose grace and honesty, our next celebrity took a very different path. And believe me, fans definitely noticed. Now, let's look at a much more complicated and frankly heartbreaking story, singer Elle King. You might know her father, the Saturday Night Live comedian Rob Schneider. After her pregnancy, Elle tipped the scales at 284 pounds. Recently, she stepped out looking dramatically slimmer, which naturally got folks whispering about those popular weight loss shots. Her response? An absolute passionate denial. "I can't believe I even have to say this, but no," she fired back at the rumors. To be fair, Elle has very real, serious medical reasons for wanting to get healthy. She battles PCOS and was diagnosed as pre-diabetic. But her real driving force is deep-rooted family pain. She watched her beloved grandfather pass away from diabetes when she was just a little girl, a memory that still terrifies her. On top of that, she recently opened up about a deeply painful childhood where her own father sent her to fat camps. It's a terrible thing for a young girl to endure, and it explains why the topic of weight is such a raw nerve for her. Because of this trauma, Elle insists she completely overhauled her life the old-fashioned way. Traveling with a bodybuilder trainer, doing 300 reps a day, cutting out meat for years, and pushing through grueling cardio. We certainly sympathize with her painful history, but in today's Hollywood climate, where sudden transformations are rarely just diet and exercise, fans still have their doubts. Her intense trauma certainly explains her fierce discipline. But whether that is the entire story, people are still wondering. Meanwhile, our next star took the exact opposite route, with brutal, shocking honesty. Now let's talk about someone who chose a completely different route. Raw, unfiltered truth. You might know reality TV star RENEE GRATZANO, but even if you don't, her story of profound resilience is one we can all respect. In late 2023, RENEE suffered a near-fatal medical emergency. It was so severe that she was hospitalized for days and literally had to relearn how to walk. When she finally got sober and started putting her life back together, she ran into a hurdle many in recovery face. She traded one vice for another. Food became her new crutch. The emotional eating trapped her in a destructive cycle she just couldn't break on her own. So, when she stepped out in mid-2025 having lost 52 pounds, people naturally asked how she did it. Instead of chalking it up to yoga or some expensive Hollywood meal plan, RENEE was brutally honest. She proudly admitted she used a doctor-prescribed medication. "It is even worse to stay quiet with the disease of addiction," she confessed, explaining that this treatment was a necessary tool for her survival. She firmly told her critics to stop judging and go talk to their own doctors. For RENEE, losing those 52 pounds had absolutely nothing to do with vanity. It was about reclaiming her mobility, protecting her hard-won sobriety, and getting a second chance at life. Her brave transparency makes the vague, secretive excuses from other celebrities look even more foolish. And speaking of vague responses, just wait until you hear about a legendary moment of silence that became a full-blown cultural phenomenon. Let's move on to Melissa McCarthy, a brilliant comedian we've all grown to love. For years, Melissa had been gradually slimming down. Whenever asked about her secret, she gave a wonderfully relatable, down-to-earth answer. She just lived a boring life, went to bed early, and stopped snacking. In fact, back in 2015, she openly talked about how sick and tired she was of Hollywood diet fads. But then came a moment that has already gone down in Hollywood history, and it involves none other than the incomparable Barbra Streisand. In the spring of 2024, Melissa posted a lovely photo of herself dressed to the nines for a gala, looking dramatically thinner. Out of nowhere, Barbra Streisand herself left a public comment on the picture, asking the exact question everyone else was whispering. "Did you take Ozempic?" Can you imagine an icon like Streisand just casually blurting out the elephant in the room for the whole world to see? It was priceless. It also put Melissa right on the spot. Her response? She posted a clever video, playfully hiding her face behind a magazine with Barbra on the cover, and declared, "Streisand knows I exist and thought I looked good. I win." It was a brilliant, funny deflection, but it was still a deflection. Instead of giving a straight answer, Melissa has chosen strategic silence. Reporters don't even ask her about it anymore because she simply won't address it. But while Melissa decided to keep her lips sealed with a joke, the next celebrity on our list decided to pull back the curtain on a struggle almost nobody talks about. Let's take a look at Rebel Wilson, who brought up a side of the story that almost nobody in Hollywood wants to talk about. Back in 2020, Rebel dedicated herself to what she called her year of health. Through good old-fashioned diet, rigorous exercise, and sheer willpower, she dropped an impressive 77 pounds. We all praised her discipline. But, as anyone who has ever battled the scale knows, losing the weight is only half the battle. Keeping it off, especially as our bodies change and we go through things like motherhood, is the real mountain to climb. In a 2024 interview with People magazine, Rebel made a surprisingly candid admission. When she noticed the pounds starting to creep back, she briefly turned to a doctor-prescribed weight loss medication. She didn't use the shot for her initial dramatic transformation. Instead, she used it strictly for maintenance, particularly to help manage her appetite during the intense hormonal shifts of her IVF journey. Once it served its purpose, she stopped. It's incredibly refreshing to hear a star admit this. Rebel represents a group we rarely discuss. Folks who use these treatments just to hold on to the results they've already sweated for, when biology tries to undo their hard work. It certainly makes you stop and ponder. If someone with all the resources in the world needed a medical boost just to maintain her weight, how tough is long-term sustainability for the rest of us? While Rebel gave us thoughtful honesty, our next celebrity takes transparency to a level that might actually make you blush. Now, if you want a reality check that is completely unfiltered, look no further than reality TV star Caroline Stanbury. Even if you don't watch those Real Housewives shows, her approach is so shockingly blunt, you just have to hear it. While going through IVF treatments to have a baby with her younger husband, Caroline naturally gained about 18 pounds. Gaining weight during fertility treatments is perfectly normal. But as any woman over 40 can tell you, taking that stubborn weight off is a whole different ballgame. When the pounds wouldn't budge the old-fashioned way, Caroline didn't sneak around or make excuses. In 2024, she boldly announced she was using a weight loss shot, stating plainly, "After 40, weight doesn't drop like it used to." But here's what makes her story so wild. She treated this medication like just one tool in a massive cosmetic toolbox. She combined the shots with grueling, multiple times a day gym sessions, strict dieting, and even documented her major cosmetic surgeries right on camera, much to the deep concern of her worried husband. Her attitude to the public is entirely unapologetic. "Yes, I took the shot. Yes, I had procedures. Yes, I worked out like crazy. Deal with it." By the way, if you're enjoying how we cut through the Hollywood nonsense to bring you the straight facts, please hit that subscribe button to support our channel. In an industry where everyone hides their secrets, her aggressive honesty is certainly refreshing. But while Caroline treats it as a cosmetic tool, our next beloved legend took his openness to a level that is actually changing lives.